Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for my live reaction and player ratings live stream following Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Chelsea 3. With a fantastic first half, with a first half hat-trick by Cole Palmer, breaking all sorts of Premier League and Chelsea records, which we will get to. First of all, my apologies, I got to say, for no streams after the last two games. I was just busy out doing other things, watched the game in pubs, brother's birthday, etc., etc. Also, my apologies for not shaving. Didn't get round to it. It's the weekend. My excuses are long, but Chelsea's excuses don't need to be long today because we got another 3 points, 4 wins in Liam Rosenier's first 4 Premier League games, which is obviously fantastic. A very good first half, but honestly not a great second half and a really disappointing second half for me because, 3-0 up at halftime and just so unnecessarily complicated. Just why not go for a couple more goals? Just come on, guys. You know what I mean? Could have made it a lot nicer. Could have made it a lot, I don't know, just a bit more of a buzzing feeling in the second half. Like the way it happened, we only had the second half of conceding a goal and getting Andre Santos injured. So that's not exactly brilliant. Enzo Fernandez, we will talk about him. Dylan says Cole Palmer is easily my man of the match for his hat-trick. Obviously, happy belated birthday to your brother, Laurenz. Thank you. I'm sure he will be happy. And Andre, I know you sent this earlier, but we are. It's just what happens first is the playoff round, and we skipped that by coming in the top 8. So therefore, we're not in the next few games, if that makes sense. So there you go. There you go. I mean, what did we make of that game today? Like I said, the first half, I don't even know. Wolves were just terrible in a way. They gifted us 1 penalty when we weren't really in the game. We make it 1-0. Then it's then we're better in the game, right? We could have scored from open play as well, but still, Wolves are in it as well. And then they gift us another stupid penalty. We make it 2-0, and then it's, also before they were already starting to take the piss, but there were plenty of chances where we should have scored and failed. And it was okay, we need that second goal at some point. But then they gifted us another penalty to get that second goal. A couple of minutes later, Cole Palmer makes it 3-0 as well. And that was essentially it. And I find these frustrating because this is just where you see that we do not have this killer instinct. And it just really frustrates me. If you're 3-0 up at halftime at the team that's bottom of the table, you need to go out there and kill them. 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. Get your goal difference up. Help yourself. What do we instead? Don't do anything going forward in the second half. Don't score again. Concede a silly goal. So give away the clean sheet. Don't help the goal difference much. Just disappointing. But what makes today another good bit better is the fact that Aston Villa dropped points away at Bournemouth, which means we are now only 4 points behind Aston Villa. So very much bringing Aston Villa and third place in the Premier League also very much within reach once again. As much as Arsenal won and they are running away with the league more and more and more. Might be the worst team to get relegated. I mean, they're not quite Derby County. And you can see that they're half decent. Early in the game, they were not bad, and then they had that. When they headed the bar against the ball against the post, they're not that bad, but they're clearly also not very good. It's just for me, they're especially defensively. I think they're so bad in terms of the way they build up, the way they try to attack is fine. You know what I mean? But how can you the first penalty that they gifted us, which for Joao Pedro essentially, Joao Pedro is on the edge of the box, going out of the box, maybe even going out of play, giving them a goal kick. And they foul him. How dumb is that? Honestly. And the other one, it was the most blatant push in the back ever. Maybe it was just about outside the box, but, still risky. Where have I been, JC? I just apologized for. I was busy. My brother had his birthday. I was watching the game against Arsenal in a pub with him, and the same actually for the game on the weekend. Sometimes that's how it goes. My apologies. But I'm back now. Yo, Mazza, big up yourself. Yo, big up, bro. Routine. 3 points today. Wasn't that impressed with the actual performance, but right now we need points. Yes, we do need points because today and the next 3 games, 2 games in the Prem and 3 games in total, are must-win games because after that it gets a whole lot more difficult. But I agree. Yeah, we just got gifted 2 penalties and then scored a nice third goal, but otherwise it wasn't really that impressive. And the second half was the opposite of impressive. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing, I can't lie. Mane IQ clear of Neto and Garnacho. Yeah, of course. And you're not even talking about Sadio Mane. You're talking about the Mane that plays for Wolves, who we supposedly are looking at as Chelsea, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Now, let me bring up the lineup that Chelsea turn up with today. I've already dragged it into the way we essentially had it in possession, which was a bit how we sometimes played on Enzo Maresca against back fives. Essentially a 2-2 setup and then a 5 behind the striker. But officially, of course, Cucurella was the left back. Gusto was the right back. Weirdly, Enzo Fernandez in the first half was the left mid and Neto the right mid. But as you can tell, in the end, it was Palmer as the central 10, Enzo as the left 10, Gusto was the right 10. A lot of overlapping and interchanging. Sometimes Gusto was wide and Neto came central and Cucurella over here. That's essentially what we did. That's essentially how we played. Of course, we then in the end started to make some subs. But yeah, the thing is, Reece James not involved. Of course, I didn't do a stream myself after the last 2 games, but if you checked out mine and Pys' podcast, which we didn't miss a beat on, link is down in the description. Chelsea Unfiltered. Almost every game there's a new episode, and if there's not for every game, there's one at least once a week, and we cover both games if we hadn't covered one individually. Latest episode is out. Link is down in the description below. New episode should be out tomorrow. So check those out. But a lot of my complaints, especially after the Arsenal game on Tuesday, was where was Reece James? Why was he not involved? And I didn't really believe Liam Rosenior saying he failed the late fitness test because Simon Johnson from The Athletic reported that he's not injured and just being rested. And he never corrected himself. And he's such a mouthpiece of the club that I thought, well, if he was injured and he said something wrong, I'm sure the club would have corrected him. By now, the fact that Reece James wasn't involved again today makes me think that actually that was exactly a club brief that he's not injured, and actually Reece James might be injured, which is not ideal and kind of ironic after the whole drama around Maresca that he's not taking care of the players enough. And guess when Reece James gets injured again? The second Enzo Maresca leaves the club. Isn't that kind of weird and ironic? I think so. But yeah, what else can I do? Sorry, I texted the wrong words. But yeah, I mean, look at the lineup. Tell me in the live chat, guys. By the way, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. But tell me in the comments what did you made of the lineup? Because I don't know. Like, there was a few things that surprised me. Again, we talked about the Reece James situation. Where is he? Will he be available on Tuesday? Will he not? Do we even play Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't even know. Midweek against Leeds, regardless, right? But otherwise, there wasn't too much surprises in there. Maybe the fact that Estevao didn't start. And to be honest, when I first saw the team, I thought Neto was playing left wing. And I thought Gusto was overlapping as the right winger, as the right mid, with Palmer coming inside from starting as the winger. But that's not what we did. Oh, my apologies. Turn the camera off. But that's not what we did, is it? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, what did you make of the lineup? Daniel says Garnacho and Gittins is not good enough. I mean, Gittins is injured. He tore his hamstring, so he will be out for a hot minute. And Garnacho, man, what is he doing? He scored, obviously, those really 2 good goals against Arsenal in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. But otherwise, he's been on a bit of a terrible form for a little while now, because I thought he was doing all right until November, maybe December. And I thought even sometimes when people criticize him, I thought he's still doing bits. He's still like getting in good positions. He's still being more dangerous than pretty much any of our other wingers. But that has kind of changed now. He can't play a pass to save his life. Like, the easiest of passes, he keeps playing them to the opposition. But again, we'll get to Garnacho in a bit more detail later on. Mazza says just under 100 million wasted and loaned out George. It's very poor planning, and this needs to be top 3 priority to fix in the summer. It is weird, isn't it? The whole George thing, because just as Gittins got injured, we sent out Tyreek George on loan with an option to buy to Everton. So not the greatest of timing. Of course, Estevao, seemingly lost his grandmother. That's why he was out in Brazil. An unused sub today, which again seems a bit of a waste. I'm sure he will start against Leeds, but even still. Pedro Neto, of course, recently didn't play that much. Did he carry a knock as well? I don't know. Gittins now injured. So literally our only normal, call it that, winger at the moment is Garnacho, and he's fucking terrible. So, yeah, it's not great, that. It's not great. But in principle, I didn't necessarily hate the lineup, Other than that, I was surprised that Reece James wasn't there, but it was more of me being sad and surprised that Reece James wasn't there rather than that I thought it was absolutely awful. But, someone said earlier, Enzo Fernandez sucks. I think the disposition that Enzo Fernandez was off the ball was also partly why he sucked. I think he covered even more distance today than he usually would, and you could kind of tell. But I'll talk about him, and I'll touch on him a little bit more in just a second. Let's get a little look at the overall perspective of the game on football, and what perspective we get on there from an overview, the statistics, etc. You could see, the first, until we scored, it was all Wolves, literally all Wolves. Then we got a penalty out of absolutely nothing. Okay, then we were on top, but it wasn't like crazy. We score another. And then look at the second half. Okay, we had a moment there where we really should have scored. Delap had a chance, and another one, and Pedro Neto had a chance, like one of the worst headers I've literally ever seen in my whole entire life. Really disappointed that we didn't at least get one goal in that second half, you know what I mean? But, of course, overall, we deserve to win. But, these stats, having 3.1 XG is all well and good, but you know, 2 of them were obviously penalties. So that's 0.79 times 2 you got to take off from that just for the penalties. But yeah, we had 6 shots on target and 6 big chances. I'm not sure if all of these big chances hit the target, but yeah, supposedly we missed 3 big chances. Of course, 2 of them were the penalty, of course. Yeah, we should have done better, man. Like, if I look at the first half, that's good. You know, 2.57 XG, even with the penalties, 11 shots, 5 on target, 5 big chances created. But this second half is dire. I know 3-0 up, but come on, man. 0.59 XG, only 4 shots, only 1 on target, only 1 big chance, yeah, it's just really poor in the second half, man. Just honestly, really disappointing. Really disappointing in the second half, if I'm honest. Like, the defensive stats, okay, we obviously had to defend a lot more because, I mean, in the second half, we still had more possession. Actually, we had more possession in the second half than we did in the first half, but it was just a total waste, all of it, really. Just a total waste, all of that possession, all of that time. Mazda says, this league has been so poor this year. Anyone from 2nd to 5th can be in either position. But does that make it poor or does that make it good? You know what I mean? Like, we've just won 4 in a row. Like, how bad is it? You know what I mean? Like, and I've said this a few times. I think the top level of the league has gone down a little bit compared to a few years ago when City and Liverpool were hitting 100 points, and even like the Chelsea teams from before that. But I think the ceiling of the floor of the league has gone up dramatically. Okay, with Wolves, you can maybe debate it, but everyone other than Wolves is so much better than the level used to be. Like, especially the defensive standards are so high, with the exception of Wolves. I will give you that. Ricky, thank you very much for the donation. $1.99. He says, is Rosenior actually good or has he been lucky? I don't think you can say he's been lucky. I think that's not the right word. But of course, it needed moments of magic in various situations. You know, Napoli away, if Joao Pedro doesn't score that first screamer, who knows what happens. But I think Liam Rosenior's way of managing makes moments of magic happen in a way. But he hasn't been amazing yet. At the same time, you know, would I expect that? You know, it's you know, usually when you get a new manager, you are in a bad situation, then you can have a manager bounce. But in this scenario, we weren't terrible. We just changed the manager. The manager walked, essentially. So now that we're making small twists, it often feels bad because what before was kind of worked, all right, at least, for the most part. And now there's a few, like, you can already see it getting better. Like, you got to say, a part of that first half, after we made it 1-0 especially, that was how you want to play a low block, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, we should have scored so many goals. The amount of moments and situations and chances we had, like a through ball where Enzo should have played Joao Pedro in for an easy one-on-one finish, where Enzo Fernandez got the ball after poor clearance from Wolves and he tried to like lob it with his left foot but didn't get enough on it. That should have been a goal as well. The Rabona, okay, was offside and he probably knew he was offside. That's why he went for the Rabona. But even still, a couple of others where either Joao Pedro or Pedro Neto or any of them just slowed the tax down really unnecessarily. So I think it's somewhere in between that. I think he's half decent, but he's also been a little bit lucky. But as a culmination, that's why we've had pretty good results, other than, of course, against Arsenal. Uzia says, agree with you, Laurenz. Blue Coat project is in full swing. Clear Lake in. How can you say you agree with me? I never said that. I don't want to say that. What are you saying? My bro, don't be twisting me words, please. Mazda says, I think this Arsenal team would lose the title to Leicester the way the other competitions have had their issue. Yeah, I mean, that is, of course, true. There's literally nobody... Like, in terms of winning the league, you're right. Like, there's only Arsenal. Like, City have been terrible in recent weeks. You know, with City, you never know. They could still put a run together and Arsenal falls under the pressure. But, you know, Villa dropped a lot of points recently. We haven't. Okay, the last 4 games obviously been good, but before that, dropped a lot of points. Liverpool are constantly on and off dropping points. Man United, great form since Michael Carrick, to be fair. But, you know, the guy might soon get his hair cut. It's pretty unbelievable, that. So, let's see how that one goes. You know, let's get into these player ratings, I would say, because there's a few interesting ones that we need to discuss. Unfortunately, I'm on the other browser again today, which means I can't as easily switch around between FOTMob and the lineup, because it requires me to restart the whole browser if I want to do that. And I don't really want to do that, because then you're all gone and then I need to restart the stream and all sorts of things, and we don't want that. So we'll just go with Rob Sanchez. We'll just talk about what I saw. I saw him not make a crazy amount of saves, if I'm honest. I think I'll just give him a 6. I mean, I don't really have much. I can't really remember him doing any crazy things, like in terms of making crazy saves or, crazy collection of crosses or crazy passes. Not that many long balls today. Yeah. I'll just give him a 6. I'll give him a 6, and I'll keep it at that, and I'll keep it simple, and I'll keep it moving. That's my plan. And then we move up. Trevor Chalobah, I thought he was good today. Of course, we conceded, and that shouldn't happen, and he's one of the defense. But I think in the grand scheme of things, we had Wolves under control very nicely. And kind of didn't really let anything happen. So I will give him a 7. I'll quickly look at the stats and see if that's remotely justified. 99 out of 101 passes, had the most passes in the game as well. 98% completion of that as well. 1 out of 2 long balls, 1 out of 3 ground duels, 3 out of 6 aerial duels. Nothing outrageous, but I think a 7 is fine. Wesley Fofana, 90 out of 92 passes, also 98% pass completion. 1 dribble, 2 out of 3 long balls, 1 out of 1 ground duel, 2 out of 4 aerial duels. I'll give him a 7 as well. I think they were both good. I think they were both solid. And I think both of them, we don't need to overcomplicate things. They both had a decent game. They both did their job. With Wesley Fofana, honestly, I'm most happy about that we're seeing him as much as we are. He started in midweek, didn't he, against Arsenal? And he started again today and played the full 90. The getting him fit at the moment seems to actually be working. Hosea says, it's true, Laurenz. Don't conform to these toxic Chelsea fans who complain about everything. We must believe. Believe in what? Believe in what? Mate, don't be giving me this. Don't be giving me this. Marco Correa, I'll go to next. Yeah, I mean, he got the assist for Cole Palmer's goal, so that was very nice. I don't really know. I would probably give him a 7.5 maybe for the assist. And I thought overall he was good. 67 out of 72 passes. Yeah, not much else. 1 out of 2 ground duels. 1 out of 5 ground duels isn't great. 3 out of 4 aerial duels is nice. He did very well in those aerials today. But yeah, I'll give him a 7.5 for the assist because it was a good assist. So I'll give him that 0.5 extra. Otherwise, it might just be a 7.5 like the other guys. Malagusto, obviously involved in certain things. I'll give him a 6.5 because there was a few more not such good moments in there. I hope he didn't get injured. He looked a little bit out of it as well after receiving some sort of hand or elbow on the chin. 51 out of 58 passes for him. 1 out of 1 shots on target. Should have scored. Should have squared it for Palmer. Palmer could have had 4 goals easily because I don't know why. No, wait, was that Pedro Neto? No, it was Gusto. Why didn't he square it? Unbelievable, honestly. I mean, it was still a good effort, and the keeper had to make a good save. It would have gone in, but it's an easy square for and an easy tap in. Gusto actually 6 out of 9 ground duels is not bad. You know what? I will actually give Gusto a 7 as well. What do people think? What do you reckon? Do you reckon I've gone too high if I give Gusto a 7 as well? I will give it a second, and I will let a few more of you guys respond to me there. Please let me know. And also, if you want to talk to me about the ratings, just put your rating in the chat. Just write the name, say Gusto, and 7. Gusto, 6.5, whatever. And, we continue that throughout the rest of the lineup, throughout the rest of the team. By the way, guys, over 30 of you here, hit the like button if you haven't done that yet, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. That would be massively appreciated. Really appreciate it. Please do subscribe. And like I say, hit that like button. That would be fantastic. That would be very fantastic. All right. Fair enough. So far, none of you have said anything. So please do. You know what I mean? I want to know if you think 7 for Gusto is too high, or if you think it's fine. Didn't watch the game, but Gusto 8 extra point for being French. Fair enough. I didn't know you was French, Jose. Yeah. Also, why didn't you watch the game? Come on, do better, bro. No. If you was busy, you was busy, innit? But yeah, I can't give him an 8. I don't think it was good enough for that. But no one has disagreed with the 7, so I shall give him the 7. Andre Santos. He was an interesting one. He played an absolutely gorgeous ball for that situation where Gusto should have squared it and didn't. So either Gusto should have got an assist or the assisted assist. That was absolutely wonderful. Unfortunately, got injured as the game went on. He looked like he picked up a knock in the first half already, but kept playing. But then in the second half, at some point, just gestured to the sideline, said he needed to come off. 68 out of 76 passes, not too bad. 1 out of 4 accurate long balls, could be better, but 4 out of 6 ground duels is pretty good. 2 tackles. Nothing amazing, nothing outrageous. But for those passes, some of them very nice. I'll give him a 7. I keep it simple. I keep it moving. Moise Caicedo, some phenomenal tackling today. A bit more like the old Moise Caicedo that I'm usually used to. Only 3 misplaced passes. One of them a bit poor, but otherwise okay. 2 out of 2 accurate long balls, which is nice. 8 out of 11 ground duels. only 0 out of 1 error, only 1 completed, so you can't moan at that. 7 tackles, 1 block, 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, 8 recoveries, only 1 dribble past, 7 passes into the final third. A very good performance. I should give him an 8. I shall give him an 8. Again, if you disagree, let me know. I will move up to Enzo Fernandez now, who, of course, was officially kind of the left mid, out of possession, even though in possession he was certainly the left attacking mid, and he was very involved. But it didn't quite work out for him today. Like the Rabona, again, I think he knew he was offside at the fact that he took it that way, but the through ball to Joao Pedro, that should have been a goal, or at least should have been a one-on-one chance. There was 1 or 2 other shots where he took a little bit too long and just was a little slow. Just was a little slow with it. And I don't know, Enzo Fernandez had that type of game today where I was like, I thought you had a good game, while nothing came off for him. But really nothing came off for him. There was a fair few misplaced passes. There was a fair few just dodgy moments. I remember one where he fed the ball and tried to like play it first time around the corner, and he missed the ball and kind of stumbled over it, and it led to a chance of theirs, then in the end to the corner that they scored from. So not the best, right? But I still think he had like a decent game. So overall, I will give him a 6.5. I will give him a 6. No, I will just give him a 6. Because I think if you played like that, but I don't know why my door didn't close properly. I give him a 6, but I give him a 6 because I don't think he had a good game, but I still think he played all right. But on another day where he doesn't play overall as much and doesn't impact the game as much, I think I would give the same performance a 4.5 or a 5. But because I still think it was overall incredibly important to what the team did, I still give him a 6. You know what I mean? That's why I'll keep it at a relatively high level, or at least at an average level. Yeah, that's what I will do. Next up, I will move on to Cole Palmer. See, this is the type of penalty, the type of hat-trick where you will not get a 10 from me. You will get a 9. You will get a 9. It was 2 penalties. Both were taken nicely. The finish for the third goal was very nice. He could have scored 4, obviously, if Gusto squared it to him, like we talked about a few times now. But it was still good to see Palmer back. Did he look like quite his old self? Maybe not, but he looked a bit sharper, a bit fresher, a bit more agile. Rosenior also said before the game that he looked quite good in the last 2 days in training. So all positives, that, of course, all positives. But yeah, because it was 2 penalties, I'm not going to go crazy and give him a 9.5 or a 10. But yeah, I will give him that. Palmer 8.5, 8 or 8.5. There you go. Yeah, fair enough. I will give him a 9 just because, you know, you don't get a hat trick every day of the week. And what we especially have to talk about, not only did he get a hat trick, he has broken some serious records today. And it's actually quite impressive. You know what I mean? I will open the first one for you and show you the first record that he broke today. From Opta, Cole Palmer is the first player in Premier League history to score 3 hat-tricks in the first half of a match. Also, he did so against Everton and Brighton. Of course, in total, he's on 4 hat-tricks now in his Chelsea career, which puts him as the highest Premier League goal, as the highest Chelsea hat-trick scorer. I can't even find the stat. See, that's what I wanted anyway. He's the first Chelsea player to score 4 hat-tricks now. Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba both have 3. Cole Palmer now has 4 Chelsea hat-tricks. And he's now also on 50, or actually on 51 goals in exactly 100 games. Today was his 100th appearance, or was it his 100th start? Certainly up there anyway. So, yeah, crazy stuff. Interesting. But Cole Palmer, man. Even if it was penalties. And, of course, that's why Lampard or Drogba don't have more. Well, in particular, that's why Drogba doesn't have more, because Lampard took the penalties. But, yeah, big up Cole Palmer. Big up. I want to scroll up a little bit to another good one as well. Where is that? These are all the 50 goals and counting. Did we get all 3 here today? No, it's 51 goals. Yeah, it's 51 goals. And there was also a stat. I'm just going to scroll to it to hopefully find it. Before this, so that was only after the first goal today. He's now in the Premier League on 44 goals, but that puts him 8th in our all-time highest goal scorer list. So it's pretty good going. Also, this one, I don't have it from Squawka, but Pys tweeted it here. Record broken. Cole Palmer scored more hat-tricks, 4 for Chelsea in the Premier League, than any other player in their history. And for these reasons, and these are various reasons, that's why I think it's fair that I'm giving him at least a 9. That's what I'm giving him, at least a 9. What am I seeing here? Kuzia says Cole Palmer is back. He's a future Chelsea legend. He's very much a future Chelsea legend. He obviously did the celebration like this as well, saying like, don't listen to the rumours. I want to go to United and I'm unhappy. It's not true. My guy's happy. My guy just wants to play. My guy just wants to be fit and be happy. I need West Ham to humble United so we can beat Leeds and go above them. Yes, I need that too. And also so the guy doesn't get a haircut because I need the guy not to get a haircut. But yeah, big up Cole Palmer. Of course, he has to be our man of the match, so he gets the gold rating. And we move on to Pedro Neto. Not his worst game, mind you. Like, he was involved in like the setup for the first penalty that we won. He did a nice move to leave a player and put a ball in the box. He should have scored, though. He should have assisted one. Like, that head at the end is so bad. It's so bad. I don't think it was quite as good as Enzo, so I'll give him a 5, even though he had an okay game. No, I'll say 5.5. I'll stretch it. But I still don't think it was great. So, yeah. Shall I quickly look at Pedro Neto's stats? Am I being harsh on him? I need to quickly look. 31 out of 32 passes, pretty good going, to be fair. 0 out of 3 shots on target, though. 1 out of 2 dribbles. 0 out of 8 crosses is, again, just poor, man. 2 out of 2 long balls, but one of these incomplete crosses still led to us winning the penalty, right? So it's not always about does the cross find a teammate or not. 3 out of 7 ground duels is okay. Yeah, I'll give him that 5.5. I'll give him that 5.5. And now I want to talk about Joao Pedro, because Joao Pedro had one of these games today where it's not going to show up. It's not going to be on the highlight reel much. Obviously, he won the penalties, but he had a really good game today. Of course, at least in FPL, he will get 2 assists. Not in official stats like on FOTMob, but in the FPL he will. And I will give him an 8. He won both penalties. He did very well to win both penalties. Of course, it was pathetic and stupid defending from the defenders. So, we can't just, give him too much insane praise. But I just thought his hold-up play was really good. I just thought, like, obviously I haven't streamed for the last 2 games on him. So a lot of you guys have not seen necessarily or heard my change of heart regarding Joao Pedro. And again, if you listen to mine and Pies' podcast, it's called Chelsea Unfiltered. Link is down in the description. I said only a couple of weeks ago, have I been too harsh on Joao Pedro when he scored those 2 goals, even before Napoli? It was the game before that when he scored already. And then obviously the Napoli performance, even though he didn't score against Arsenal, I thought he put a proper shift in. And again, he didn't score today, but he put a proper shift in. He asked for the second penalty. Palmer wasn't letting him have it, but fair enough. Palmer in the end got a hat-trick, so I think it's valid. But yeah, Joao Pedro is really, kicked on. And, maybe also the way Victor Gyökeres seems to be doing that now at Arsenal, even though I initially thought he was never going to turn around. He's scoring quite a lot recently. I'm not watching all their games, right? So I don't know. But Joao Pedro, maybe sometimes we need to just give these players that time. But the problem is you don't know how much time to give a player, right? Joao Pedro started to find his feet after 6-7 months. But somebody else might start to find his feet after 9-10 months. And somebody else might find their feet after 1 or 2 months, like Esteval, for example. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but currently Joao Pedro is doing an absolute shift. 7 out of 9 passes. I'm not going to go too crazy over that, but even still. But he won 2 penalties, which is fantastic. 0 out of 2 shots on target. 1 of them could have been better. 3 out of 3 dribbles, though, which is nice. 7 out of 11 ground duels. Only 1 aerial duel competed for. Yeah, I'll give him an 8. Is it maybe high? Maybe. I could maybe give 7.5, but Karan even says give him an 8.5. So, I will give him an 8, and I think that will be fine. No, that is the wrong thing. I didn't mean to share that screen. This is the screen I want to share. So, Joao Pedro with the 8. Okay, let's get to the substitutions that we made in the second half. You know what? I will not necessarily put them all on screen here. I will just show you the FOTMob screen, and we'll quickly talk about the individuals that came on. Of course, we already touched on Alejandro Garnacho. He was the first sub coming on for Cole Palmer after an hour. I'm sure that was planned as it was, but Garnacho was poor. Okay, 12 out of 12 passes, but he ruined a couple of attacks. He just got beat way too easily, dispossessed way too easily. Just not great. You know what I mean? Just not great. 0 out of 1 ground duels, 0 out of 0 aerial duels. Just no defensive actions or 1 defensive action. Nah, just not enough. Really not enough. Then we had the double sub. We already spoke about it. Josh Achampong for Gusto and Liam Delap for Joao Pedro, keeping Joao Pedro hopefully fresh to start again against Leeds on Tuesday, I would assume. But Achampong was good. Didn't let anything happen defensively on his side. Tried to be active offensively. So good cameo from him. Obviously, I want to see more and more from him. It's interesting because he has so much pace and he's so good at running with the ball. He would be such a good right back, but at the same time, he would be such a perfect right centre back when having the license to move forward. But maybe we need to give him a little bit longer to adapt defensively. Delap, I didn't feel he was awful today. He didn't give any stupid fouls away. He didn't give any stupid yellow cards away. But 4 out of 7 passes isn't exactly impressive. He had one shot. Enzo wanted the ball. Honestly, I thought it was fine that he went for that shot. I can't moan at it. And Joao Hato came on at the end for the injured Andre Santos. So, yeah, obviously, Dario Isugo fit, injured. Lavia still injured, even though he's back in on grass and hopefully relatively soon returning. With Andre Santos getting injured, especially when we play Enzo, Caicedo, and Andre Santos together quite regularly at the moment. Andre Santos now being injured and Joao Hato essentially being our only other centre-back midfielder, other than, of course, Reece James, who's also injured. Or not fit anyway. We don't know if he's injured, but he's probably not fully injured, but like just still not fit. You know what I mean? It's one of those. But on this note, it's probably about time I try to look whether we have found any quotes, any post-match quotes, and I'm sure there is a few. Yes, I can see a few already, which is very, very nice. And then we'll talk about that. And after that, we'll slowly but surely round it up. I'm glad you think that the ratings so far are fair. I'm glad you think so. 1 for Garnacho, probably. Delap 5 was okay today. Yeah, honestly, I could give them ratings, sure, especially Garnacho, but I don't know. It's just easier to just talk about what I thought about them than trying to like squeeze in certain ratings for just no reason. But let's look at Liam Rosenior's quotes and reactions after the game. Liam Rosenior, first half was everything you want in an away performance at this level. Our pressing was very good. Our patterns with the ball was outstanding. We put ourselves in a really, really strong position. Second half, we want more. Our standards dropped. It's difficult because the conditions weren't great. It was a difficult day for both teams in terms of the pitch, in terms of the rain. Overall, very, very happy with an away 3 points, which is true. And I'm happy he's saying that he is not happy with the second half and he's not happy that the standards and the intensity dropped. Liam Rosenior taking control after Wolves' bright start. We kept the ball and made passes and were able to take up attacking positions. And once we did, we looked very, very good. We looked a very, very good team. Obviously delighted for Cole. There's been a lot of talk around him about how happy he is. He looked happy today with his 3 goals. But we could have scored more in the first half and we need to keep improving. There's a lot of positives, but I want us to keep focusing on what we can improve. We've got a difficult game on Tuesday against a strong Leeds team. Okay, playing Tuesday once again. It's not ideal because I'm off at work next week, except on Wednesday. So isn't that brilliant that we play Tuesday night? Liam Rosenior on Cole Palmer. Cole loves playing football. I love watching. Not just him, the whole team. When they're in the mood and when they do the right thing and their mentality is right, they're an outstanding group of players. And Cole is definitely someone that we want on the pitch more often than not. And hopefully he can stay fit now. I mean, yeah, hopefully. No disrespect to Wolves. Their second half was good. They made it difficult. They put balls in our box, but those moments came from our sloppiness. We gave the ball away cheaply, whereas in the first half, we were crisp with our passing. And those are things we need to improve on moving forward. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I think it was also the intensity of winning the ball back, but yeah, he's not wrong. Liam Rosenior winning his first 4 league games. It can't really get better, can it? In terms of the Premier League, when you come into a new job at a big club, you want to make a good start. And I think we've done that. I think we've got much more to go with this very exciting, which is very exciting in terms of the potential of the team. As long as we keep improving while we're winning, that will make me a very happy manager. Interesting, by the way, was today that recalled Loney Mamadou Sarr, who did come back today, was in the squad for the first time today after being recalled from Strasbourg. Did not make a sub appearance, which I was surprised about. I thought he would. Liam Rosenior and Reece James. He's so close. He should be fit for Tuesday. It's not a major problem at all. It's a knock, pain management issue. He was out running yesterday. I mean, it is interesting, right? It is interesting. Maybe it's still that hip issue that he picked up a few weeks ago, which is the problem. Who knows? Let's see if he plays Tuesday. I still find it annoying that he couldn't at all seemingly play against Arsenal today. No problem. But yeah, we know what a world-class player he is. When he's at his best, he's unstoppable. It's true. That wasn't the case today, but it's true. Liam Rosenior and Enzo Fernandez. Enzo is playing in exactly the same position in the left pocket. He's got more freedom. Yeah, so this is what he's saying. You know, in possession, he was in the same role. Cucurella was the left mid, he was the left number 10. But out of possession, he was, of course, defending the left side a little bit on his own. But that's partly because of Garnacho being poor and Giddens being injured. And Pedro Neto being a waste of time on the left. Liam Rosenior Cole Palmer is a magnificent footballer. When you're at a club like this, with huge demands and scrutiny, which I'm starting to learn myself, you have to block out the noise and you have to remember what a good player you are. You're only learning that yourself now. Yeah, well, good luck with that, bro. But that's seemingly so far the only quotes. Let me see if we have an update since I last loaded it. We do. Only one. Wolves manager on Cole Palmer. Not sure I like the lad very much. He scored against me before. He's a special sport footballer. Not sure I like that lad very much. Just because he scored. Bit harsh, mate. But yeah, he's a special footballer. Yeah, he is. And I appreciate you for being so honest about it, Mr. Rob Edwards. Obviously, the Wolves manager. Outstanding, the word of the day. Bro, could you a criminal? Outstanding isn't the word of the day. Outstanding is the word that Liam Rosenior says every day of every week of all the time. It's by far his favorite word in the whole entire world. And he will probably never stop saying and using that word all the time. But yeah, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we've got through the bigger deals, the bigger things. On that note, because we've not gone that long yet, any things to talk about? Any questions? Any topics about today's game? There's a few interesting ones. You know what I mean? Let's at the same time, while I let you kind of come up, if you have anything you want me to talk about and you want to ask or whatever, let's look at our fixtures. Let's look at our upcoming fixtures. Of course, Arsenal game on Tuesday. We knew that. Not a great outcome in the end, but 5 wins before that in all competitions, which is fantastic. Including today, of course, we're on 4 Premier League wins in a row, as we discussed in Rosenior's quotes. But this was one of 4 games in a row that are fairly easy, that we should be winning. Wolves away had to be a dub. Leeds at home on Tuesday needs to be a dub. It absolutely must do. The same goes for Hull City away in the FA Cup, and then for Burnley at home. Absolute must-win games, every single one of them. You know, there's not even anything to doubt about, to complain about, to moan about. It's just that. But then it gets tough. Then it gets fucking tough. Arsenal away again. You know, we have played them. Then we've had 5 games in between and we played them away. Then we have 4 games in between and then we played them away again. This time in the Premier League, hopefully with a better outcome. Let's see how differently that game's going to be. But then we've got Villa. And Villa is interesting because Villa drop points again today. We're only 4 points behind them now. If they drop points again, there is a chance that we're within reach that by beating them, we overtake them, which would, of course, be huge. But then we've got Newcastle, of course. Newcastle playing them in Newcastle is always different to playing them at the Bridge. So I still back us, but not an easy game. Everton away, always a difficult game. City, insanely difficult. United, I mean, their run can't last until then, can it? So I'm sure they'll be worse by then, and we're at the Bridge, so I'm hopeful. Same goes for Brighton, but they're still not easy games. Forest, that should be a relatively easy game, but it's, you know, no game's easy. Liverpool away at Anfield on the 9th of May will be so tough. Spurs at home, of course, we should win, but it's a difficult game. And Sunderland away on the last day. Let's hope they have nothing to fight for, really, because, of course, they're not getting relegated. But let's hope they have no Europe or anything to fight for. Then that could make the last day, you know, a bit more okay and a bit more possible. But there you go. For now, we still sit in 5th. Because Manchester United, of course, won again. Their 4th win in a row, as you can see. Because obviously they don't play anything else anymore. They are out of all the cups and they're in no European competitions. But they remain ahead of us for now. And only because we lost to Fulham. Otherwise, we would be level. Or if we beat Fulham, ahead. So, hey, it is that. We have a better goal difference again. Would have loved if, you know, we could have been on more goals now than Manchester United. And we should have been, arguably. And it's kind of annoying me that we're not. If I'm being totally honest, it's kind of annoying me. Of course, Brentford and Newcastle playing currently. If either one of those would get a winner, of course, they get a little bit closer, particularly in Brentford's case. They would go level with Liverpool if they would win. City play tomorrow against who? I'm not sure. But they play tomorrow regardless. Don't they play Liverpool, actually? Yeah, Liverpool City play each other tomorrow. So we could either close the gap on Manchester City as well, or we could close the gap, or we could enlarge the gap on Liverpool. Let's see how that goes because, you know, City are currently level on points with Villa, who we are 4 points behind. If Liverpool happen to beat City tomorrow, which I doubt, but if they do, we could only be 4 points behind 2nd, not only 4 points behind 3rd. You know what I mean? If they get a draw, of course, it will be 5 points. If they win, you know, maths, it will be 7. But yeah, have any of you said anything yet? Nope. Yeah, fair enough. So nothing big that you would like to talk about, which is also fine. You know, it's fine, guys. It's absolutely fine. Let me just see if I'm seeing anything interesting that maybe I feel like should still be talked about. I talked about the Reece James knock. Nothing else to add on that. Cole Palmer sets 2 record. We spoke about this. Maybe this is something to look at because this is quite bloody impressive. I'll tell you this much. Cole Palmer for Chelsea FC, 114 games in total, 100 of them in the Premier League then, seemingly, because I thought it was his 100th appearance today. 51 goals, 31 assists, 82 goal contributions in 114 games. You know how insane that is? You know, like we haven't been that good in this period. We haven't been that good. Like I know we won the Club World Cup, but even in the stat padding sessions last season in the Conference League, Palmer didn't play. In those 8-0 wins against Noah and those games, he wasn't featuring in those. Right? So, like, it's crazy numbers. Of course, a lot of penalties in there, but he's also so good for the penalties. Only one miss, obviously, from the spot. So secure, so cool. Obviously, the number of assists alongside the goals is, he's not can't be just a penalty merchant. Otherwise, he wouldn't have goals and assists, would he? Anything else? Okay, we looked at that, of course. Chelsea, I guess, on their website. I can't show you that. Why not? Quickly bring that one up. On their website, explaining to us that he sets 2 records that we obviously spoke about earlier already, after the first half hat-trick to help the Blues overcome Wolverhampton Wanderers 3-1 this afternoon. Then in the process, set 2 new Chelsea records. Palmer broke their deadlock at Molineux in the 12th minute, converting a penalty after Matt Doherty had brought down Joao Pedro, the England international. Blow. Stop talking so much. Why is this unnecessary? So what were the records? Palmer's treble put us firmly in the lead. It also ensured Palmer is now the only player in Premier League history to score 3 hat-tricks in the first half of a match. The others among against Everton and Brighton and Hove Albion. He also scored more Premier League hat-tricks, 4 than any other Chelsea player, surpassing Blues legends Didier Drogba, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, and Frank Lampard, who all netted 3. So yeah, obviously we spoke about it already, but Chelsea highlighting it, might as well discuss it too. On that note, don't know what else to talk about. So yeah. Oh, Newcastle took the lead, which obviously means Brentford will probably not close in on Liverpool. But yeah, gives us still a decent gap. Maybe I bring it up quickly again. Obviously, we just looked at the league table already, but it's important to remember. Even though obviously it says here top 4 is only Champions League, it's almost guaranteed that all 5, the top 5 of the Premier League will play Champions League next season. And the fact that we now already have a 4-point gap, if City beat Liverpool tomorrow, obviously it would remain a 4-point gap, I guess. That's why I'm really hoping a City win, because the bigger this gap, the more comfortable for the rest of the season we can be, because the top 5 will be fine, in my opinion. I'm really not worried about top 5. And I'm not sure, Liverpool might still finish ahead of us. We might either finish ahead of United, we might finish ahead of Liverpool, we might finish ahead of Villa. We might finish ahead of all of them and come 3rd. I see all of that as a possibility, but I'm 100% sure that we will not come 4th of these 4 teams. I'm sure that we will not come 6th out of all these 4 teams. I'm sure of it. So, hey, I hope you can be as confident as I am, because, yeah, I do believe in that. And I do believe we will be in the Champions League next season. The problematic and the sad and depressing part about that is much more the fact that it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter how, whether we make Champions League or not. Look at the signings we made. Other than maybe Joao Pedro, would any of those signings not have happened had we not been in the Champions League? Nope. You know what I mean? So, it gives us more money, but also it gives me more frustration if we don't get any decent players. Because if we're not in the Champions League, then you can't get the best, etc. But if you are, and you're still not signing the best players, you're like, well, what the flip? Why spend 2 billion without buying the best? That's silly. Ricky with a question. Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate you. He says, how far do you think we make it in the Champions League? Now, of course, we don't know yet who we will play in the round of 16. Let me quickly look at the Champions League, Champions League. I'll open the brackets knockouts. So there you can see it quite nicely. So can you look at that yet? No, you cannot. So let me quickly make that bigger for you. So we can see it over here. Either us or Barcelona play the winner of Monaco or PSG, or us or Barcelona play the winner of Qarabag and Newcastle. There's got to be a whole new draw for which one of those sides we get. But we do know that we will play the winner of either one of those 2 games. Now, in a shocking scenario, it could be Monaco or Qarabag, but that's, of course, unlikely. So probably going to be one of PSG or Newcastle. Out of that, Newcastle is probably easier. PSG will want revenge for our Club World Cup win. But at the same time, it's so bloody boring to play Newcastle. Play a Premier League team in the Champions League round of 16. That they didn't even used to be allowed, back when Champions League was still proper. And after that, you can tell if we are on this side and we play Newcastle, after that, we would play the winner of either, most likely Atletico Madrid, although Club Brugge aren't to be underestimated. And Atletico Madrid will then play either Spurs or Liverpool. So we could play Spurs or Liverpool or Atletico Madrid. Or if on the other side, we could play Gala or Juve. Can't put it past Gala completely, but probably Juve. And then again, either Juve or Liverpool or Spurs. again, depends on who gets who. And this is why I'm struggling to like think about it. You know what I mean? Because then we're already in the quarters. Let's say if because it's so up for the draw, right? It just depends so much which side we end up on. Here, we're probably going to play Arsenal or Bayern in a potential semi-final if we're on this side. No, you see, you don't even know because Arsenal or Bayern are also. It might be that, it might be the other. So I find it impossible to judge. But I'm really hoping that we make at the very least, the quarterfinals. That would be nice. And I said this at the beginning of the season. If we make it to the quarterfinals or further, I will be happy with a Champions League run. Anything after that depends on the draw. We did our best in coming sixth in finishing in the top 8. If we now get already in the round of 16, PSG, that would just be unfortunate. You know what I mean? If we then get knocked out, I'm not going to call that a disappointing Champions League season. That just makes it an unfortunate draw and unfortunate the way the league table happens. And this is why I don't like the league table. You know, when you got a hard draw in the old Champions League, then, you know, that's how it was. It was a draw by fortune, lack of fortune, right? Of course, teams that finished top of their group were drawn against teams that finished second, but, you know, there was sometimes big groups, therefore a big team also finished second, and sometimes there was easy groups, and therefore a less big team finished first, right? So it was always still, you could get a good draw, you could get a bad draw, but it was purely a draw. And now it just feels like, because it's all seeded, it's all like a bit, the seeds don't work this way. Like the seeds make it like tennis seeds, but that's not how it works, you know, because the league table is such an unfair statistic. In a sense of, you only play each team once. You play them home or away, right? Not both. And for example, Dortmund away is a 10 times more difficult game than playing Dortmund at home. Well, for us at home and for them away, right? It's just as one example. Or the same goes for Galatasaray. Like playing Galatasaray in Istanbul, it's like not even a comparable scenario to playing them, you know, in London in our scenario. Or the same goes for Frankfurt, teams like that. You know what I mean? So I think the whole thing is so unfair. And then it seeds, and then they claim, oh, you know, you're going to play. You know, the top 2 teams are going to play bad teams, and then the worst teams are going to play better teams. But then Liverpool last year won the league phase or came second and played PSG in the round of 16, right? And PSG had to go through the playoffs, beat Liverpool, and then won the thing. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Ricky, that I couldn't give you a nicer answer, but it's just one of these things that frustrates me about the current Champions League format. It has been absolute cinema. Well, I say that. The last match day has. Other than that, it's been a bit dead. I can't lie, in my opinion, anyway. I'm praying we go on a deep run like the Club World Cup. I mean, I'm praying too. But yeah, I honestly, I don't even really think about this until the draw happens. Until it's like an actual draw. As long as in the tournament tree, there's like a this or that team, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. It's like looking at a World Cup draw now. What? No, I'm not doing that. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna round it up. Another 3 points for Chelsea. Very good. 4 wins in a row in the Premier League. The draw will tell the full story. Absolutely. Yeah, nothing wrong with you, obviously. Nothing wrong with you or your question. It's just really difficult to predict, because I'm going to predict who we're going to beat if I don't know who we're going to play. And there's just more than 3 or 4 potential outcomes. You know, I can't talk about every possibility possible. Or I can. But here we are. Yeah, another big 3 points. Hat-trick hero Cole Palmer. Records broken. Disappointing second half where we should have scored more and should have played better. But in the end, 3 points is what matters most. 2 3-1 away wins in the Premier League on the bounce, which is pretty good going. We're not keeping clean sheets, but we're scoring a good amount of goals on a Rosenior at the moment. And the first half attack and play at times was very nice, and we should have scored more goals there as well. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I will see you next time.